to variation 28. Variation 28 is about flying staccato, and it's very similar to variation 21. So a couple of things are going to be repeated here. The first thing you should do when you practice this, or actually before you start practicing the bowing in this variation, is to practice it slowly with the bow on the string, not flying staccato, staccato on the string, so that you can practice it slowly, and do the string crossings and double stops so that your left hand knows what to do and so that your intonation is secure. Pay special attention to the fourth. It's very important to give yourself the time to practice this variation this way, because when you do flying staccato, you need to concentrate on the bow division and what the bow is doing, and your intonation, and generally your left hand should be secure already. A very good preparation for flying staccato is to practice repeated up bows staying in one place. This bowing is taught in variation 15, and it's an excellent preparation for flying staccato. So what you do, remember the bow bounces, so if you drop it on the string, it'll come back up again. In order to do repeated up bows, not moving but staying in the same place of the bow, you have to do this movement. You need to do a circular movement with your hand and fingers of your bow arm. So slowly it's this. That's slow. I'm not dropping the bow, I'm placing the bow and bringing it back up again. I'm doing that to show you the movement slowly. If you do that fast, you drop the bow, it comes back up again, and you do the circular motion so that you don't move to the frog. It's an almost passive bowing. You see, the movement I'm doing is the same as before, it's just much smaller and a lot less visible. So a good idea to prepare this variation is to practice that in scales. To repeat and refresh this movement. And the next step is to do the same thing, staying in one place, and then allowing your bow to travel, and then you have flying staccato. You see, I let the bow stay in one place for 8 notes, and then I let it travel for 8 notes. Now travel. You will notice that letting the bow travel is much easier than staying in one place, because you don't need to do a full circle. You still do that same movement, but it's much smaller and it just gives the impulse for the flying staccato. So practice that in scales before you start practicing the variation, because then you'll be perfectly prepared for this. Now when you practice this variation, make sure you know exactly what bow division you need to use, because flying staccato doesn't work everywhere. Basically, flying staccato works best as from above the middle down to the frog. So that's as much bow as the first 2 notes, which are not yet staccato, get. So you start at the tip, that needs the whole bow. Up to here I can go, and now I have to start the flying staccato. So that's very important to get the bow division organized, because if you use too much bow, you don't have enough bow down there. If you don't use enough bow, it's very difficult starting the flying staccato so high up on the bow. You don't have a good control here, and this is not a fast flying staccato, so you want it nice and smooth and controlled. About here. Make sure you use the whole bow so that you get back to the tip. Another good way of practicing this is, like I showed you to practice in scales, staying in one place first and then letting the bow travel. You can do that in this variation as well. Stay in one place and then travel. Stay in one place and then let it travel. That's also a very helpful way of practicing this. The next thing that's important is the weight distribution, weight of bow on the string. When you start off, you need a bit of weight because you're so far away from the frog. You need to add a bit of weight so that you get a good full sound. The flying staccato is very light. You're dropping the bow and letting it come back up on its own. You're certainly not adding any weight. So you have a little bit of weight and then you take it away and play with a very light bow. And now more weight again for a big warm sound. Light again. So basically you're using a little bit of weight of bow on the string, and then for the staccato you're taking it away again. So you're giving weight and taking away again. Giving weight and taking away again. Notice how I lift my wrist when I want the bow to be light, and I drop the whole arm to give a lot of weight and to have a good full sound. And then I bring the wrist back up again, so it's continuously this movement. I would like to make a suggestion for fingering in bar 10 and 11, because I found that a lot easier. What I do is I go into third position in bar 10 already. So what I do is I go into third position already and then play bar 11 in third position. I'll show one more time. And then I go down. So try that fingering, you might also find it easier. I found it a lot easier. When I first learned this variation, I was a little bit surprised that I needed more time to sort out the left hand than I thought I would, because it doesn't exactly look like it's very difficult, and the key is also not as difficult as some of the keys we've had. But for some reason, that many sharps, I needed to spend quite a bit of time working at it slowly with the bow on the string, not flying staccato, and with the string crossings and double stops. So that was just something which I noticed. It might be the same for you. Certainly give yourself enough time to do that. Then the most helpful thing I found was to practice the repeated upboast, staying in one place and then allowing the bow to travel, simply because staying in one place is the more difficult bowing, while allowing the bow to travel feels like a relief. So what you actually have to do is easier than what you're practicing, and that's always good. So those were the things which helped me a lot. Let me know in the comments how you get on with this one and if you have any questions, and enjoy practicing it.